Hey everyone, welcome back. So today I wanted to film a planner update for you. If you've watched my last videos, you probably have noticed something has changed. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know exactly what it is. So I have been in a regular sized or Midori sized traveler's notebook most of the summer. Summer's busy for me and it actually gives me a little more room to work in. But I pre-ordered the Parma? It's P-R-M-E color Touch Me planner from Vanderspec. And pretty much I usually get personal size. Like this is my go-to size, although I did order a pocket size in this color. I also ordered a different color that I can't remember the name of, but it's kind of like a very pale gray. So I figure I'll probably use that in a little bit, but I wanted to start with the pink. I know pink isn't traditionally a fall color, but I thought I could make it work and it was really pretty and I wanted to move in. So I promised you a walkthrough in my last video. So I did pull out a lot of my cloth and paper items. So this came from a cloth and paper subscription box, as did these stickers. I think they might actually be available on the website as well. Some paper, this was from a cloth and paper subscription, and this was from a Cocoa Daisy kit. Let's see, this is from a Cocoa Daisy kit as well. I think it was April's, but I love the cherry blossoms and they kind of fit in with the pink, so I went ahead and used those. There is a pocket here. I don't have anything in it at the moment. The cover vellum is actually from the October Cocoa Daisy kit. I love this. I think it's so pretty. Minted Sugar, I think is where I got that from. All right. So, and people are going to ask me about dividers. There's several places that sell these. I actually think I got these on Etsy. I will link them down below. Same place I had that made these for me. Brooklyn Grace Co., I think is the name of that shop. And these came from either Cloth and Paper or Sesame, one of the two. But I know people ask me where things came from, but most people are not here to hear where things came from. They want to see how my planner is set up. So the first section I have is my reference section. You've seen this kind of change and adapt. I have a very basic version of this available in my Etsy store, but mine is expanded out with additional information. So in the first 2 pages here, I have my values. If you've seen previous videos where I showed this, I have fixed my typos, at least the ones I could find. And I actually ran spell check this time too, so that helped. It actually caught something I hadn't seen yet. So I'm trying to review my values a little more often, and so I've put them in here in my reference section. I have my 2019 goals. If you've watched videos before, you know I usually have my vision board in here. I have not decided if I'm going to keep that. I did go ahead and put a copy of it back here towards the back, but I don't find that this really inspires me all that much. I'm a visual person, but I'm also a word person. So I'm thinking I may get rid of that. When I printed this, I printed it at the office where I don't have a color printer, or I do, but I don't use it. I use the one at home. So that's why I left it out at that time. But I do have my goals. I have the prioritizing questions that came from one of the books on the Franklin planner method. So between my values and my goals, I use the prioritizing questions to make sure that the things that I am planning to do kind of line up with all of that. So it's something new that I'm trying, and it's something I have to remind myself to do more often, but I'm trying to get there. I also have a page here for pre-trip and post-trip preparation, or I guess pre-trip preparation and post-trip reset. So mostly this has to do with the office. Before I leave, I want to make sure I've updated work goals, I've cleaned out inboxes, reviewed the projects that I have in place that are pending and in progress, that I'm reviewing tasks and updating my master to-do list, prioritizing projects, next actions, and tasks that I have to do before I leave, that I'm actually doing those things and not just planning to do it, that I'm putting away my filing, emptying my shredding bin and trash and recycling, and then adding items that I need while I'm out to my project support folder. So I do have a folder I usually take with me, especially when I'm traveling back and forth to Texas, because I do have an office there in my husband's apartment so that I have a place to work out of. So usually I have a running list of things to do while I'm in Texas that are projects that need a little more focus and that I don't have to be like in the office for. And then when I get back, I have a list of things that I want to do. Again, emptying my 2 office and project support folders, so I'm kind of integrating those back into my whole system, that I'm filing things that I need to, processing all the inboxes and dealing with all the paper. Again, putting away filing, emptying the shredding, trash, and recycling bin, because you know how it is when you go to clean stuff up, those things fill up pretty quick. So it's very similar to when I leave. I just need to repeat the same steps when I come back. And then I have my master task list. So these are things that happen not monthly, not weekly, but less often that I need to remember to do. So I have those items. I have my weekly routine. I try and theme my days so I don't have to think quite so much about what I need to do on each day. And interestingly enough, if you've watched my last video, I feel like I repeat myself a lot. So, but I am scheduled to be the incoming president for the local rental housing association. And the things that I have that are coming up still kind of fit in my weekly routine. So I don't think I'll have to make too many changes to adjust myself into that, which is kind of nice. So Monday is the day that I focus on goals and projects. Tuesday is when I do my recurring tasks and one-offs, Tuesdays and Thursdays. So Tuesdays and Thursdays I'm handling putting in receipts and doing deposits for our company, entering bills and making payments, processing move-ins because I'm kind of the final eyes on leases. Just things like that, things that I need to do either once or twice a week. Those happen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Wednesdays I usually work from home. So actually this is slightly out of date. I will talk about my pen shortly. But I usually will do some house cleaning things. I have my desk day, which is usually things like doing filing, paying bills, that sort of thing. This is an ideal list. Let's be honest, I don't normally get to most of this. And some of things have changed slightly. I'll try and do some laundry on Wednesdays. They'll usually do sheets and towels on the weekends. So actually, now that I'm looking at this, I probably need to update it. And this is also a day when I do some of my filming, and if I'm doing any writing, I'll do that on this day as well. Thursdays and Fridays are kind of like flip-flopped Mondays and Tuesdays because most of my meetings happen on Thursday and Friday. So Tuesdays and Thursdays mirror each other, except for the fact that I'm doing meetings on that day. Same thing with Fridays. I'm working on goals around my meetings. Saturdays is when I focus on my house and just resting. So I usually do my weekly review and planning then, clean out the fridge, plan meals. I grocery shop either Saturday or Sunday, run errands, do laundry, film, that sort of thing. And then Sunday I try and take off and just kind of relax. I have a kind of a crazy schedule and I do a lot of things. So I like to try and give myself a day where I don't commit myself to do too much. So sometimes the days switch around. Maybe I'll do that Saturday instead of Sunday, but that's kind of what my week looks like. And then I have my home and work routines. I'm currently rethinking my work routine. So I have some paper in there kind of as an idea of what I can change. But it's pretty much what my mornings and evenings look like. This looks like a lot of stuff, but most of it doesn't take that long. So it's more of a complete list rather than a partial list. And then, like I said, the work one I'm kind of looking at redoing. So we'll see. We'll see how that changes. Next I have the annual, quarterly, monthly review pages, and then weekly and daily reviews. After that, I have a budget and contact information for people at work. I keep those paper clipped off so I don't accidentally flip to them. For obvious reasons. And then I have my rule of life, which is something that I created as a part of my Daughters of the King discernment period. So I keep that in here because it's something that I want to keep referring to. And then this I mentioned was just something I left over. And then I kind of have my key areas of responsibility as CFO for our company. So there's that. I have the next section, which is work to-dos, and these will probably be blurred out. But after my main to-do section, I originally had all of this in one single book in my traveler's notebook. That was actually part of the reason I switched back to rings, because it got really frustrating because I had a limited amount of paper. I didn't want to combine project lists, and if something was finished, the paper was still stuck in the notebook. So that's part of the reason I switched back to rings, is because summer is busy. It's a lot of like go, 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 just run through tasks, but during the rest of the years when I work on projects. So this seemed a little more conducive. So I have a work section and a home section with the master kind of to-dos at the beginning on the first page. And then I have projects, whether they're active or not, and things that I need to work on. So there's all of that. I think most of this I probably won't need to blur out. I think it's all stuff that's okay to look at, with the exception of the to-do list. And then I have my home to-dos. I have a sticky note. These were from cloth and paper. And so I just keep kind of a running shopping list on here. And actually I can check some of this stuff off. I just noticed I've got some things done this last week. So this is just kind of my running to-do list for the house and personal stuff. Then I have some project things. So on this page I have my Christmas list, things that I want to think about, know, remember, and I just have a spot where I can put stuff down. I have something that I'm working on that will be happening after I post this video that I don't want potential people to see in my family, so I will not show that. And then I just tossed this page in here because I had some video ideas. This was kind of a brain dump page from when I did my quarterly planning, but I had some video stuff that I didn't want to lose that I need to compare. So my next section is lists, and this is just kind of random things. So a long time ago had kind of a start here, and I can't remember who I got this from. Might have been Peanuts Planner Co. It was somebody like that, but it was kind of like I have time to do stuff, I don't know where to start, here's where I need to start. I have just some notes. Note to myself that I want to update my GTD videos. Oh, this was there were notes that I took on a video from Ink Imperfections, I believe is her channel name. So I had made a note kind of bullet journal stuff and the action categories, ideas that came to me based on what she had. Some gardening and preserving notes, which canning prep for tomatoes, which we literally got us on total 4 tomatoes this year because I think the summer was so cool. Up until the last possible second, our tomato plants just didn't grow. Now keep in mind, last year I canned almost 50 jars of tomatoes. So to go from that to 4 tomatoes, I mean, I have tomatoes left, so I'm not complaining, but it was like, well, okay, that's different. So, and I ended up freezing all of the green beans. So our garden didn't do very well, and that's mostly because Gary moved like at the start of gardening season, and I just haven't had time. I have a list of my volunteer obligations, how often they meet, kind of like when I'm doing them, how long the commitment is, like that sort of thing. So that was me trying to figure out what my life is going to look like. I have something I printed off the internet from Les Mills, which was kind of an idea of starting a workout plan. I'm not working out right now, but I have it in case I need it. Just some random notes, books to read, future releases of things I'm waiting to come out. Obviously I haven't updated these in a while. Movies or series that people have recommended to me. I have a service log. This was left over from the last time I was using this planner because I was going to keep track of what was done on my car. Have not, obviously. This is just a Foxy Fix thing that I was going to put some stuff in but haven't gotten around to it. So my next section is my calendar, and I do kind of have it split it up because I was trying to mimic how my traveler's notebook was set up because I really enjoyed how that worked. Now these dividers are actually, I mean, they're not super thick, but they're fairly thick. So I bought some Duralar, is that what it is? It's kind of like acetate, and I was going to try making my own very skinny dividers because this is very thick already, as you can see. when I close it, there's not any extra room, and as I'm at the beginning and end, pages kind of pop out. So I need to kind of figure out a way to make this a little thinner but not lose any information. So I have all the monthly stuff up here, and somebody has asked me if I'm going to list my monthly inserts, and I am. But I think based on me using them, I'm going to put the master task list on the front and the index on the back. So I need to flip-flop those, which will be good because then you'll have a thing that shows you that this is the month of September. So there's various reasons I'm doing that, but I have to make that change. And so you should see those coming in a few weeks. So I have the month on 2 pages, and then just behind that, I have the monthly pages, or my version of the monthly pages from the Momentum Planner. So I've changed things around a little bit, and so these are more what I call goal planning pages. So you will actually probably see these on Etsy. They're loosely based on the Momentum Planner, but they're slightly different. So each month I have like the month on 2-page calendar, and then I have this, which shows me my quarterly and monthly objectives, kind of what my major events are. So I can keep these in mind as I'm kind of dividing this stuff out amongst all the weeks. So I have that for September, same thing for October, and I do keep sticky notes here for things that I want to remember when I don't have my daily pages available yet. When I have a daily page, then I will actually put that on the daily page it needs to go to. So November, same thing. December, same thing. January, this came in a cloth and paper subscription box. It's a year at a glance for 2020. And for 2020 right now, I just have the monthly pages. Again, still trying to save a little bit of paper. When I get closer to the new year, I will put in those monthly pages behind these. So I do actually have things in here, believe it or not. People are like, why do you have the entire 2020 year in? I have stuff all the way through December 2020. I did get the calendar for the Rental Housing Association, so I have everything all the way through the end of the year that I can at least put in here. All right, so I have the monthly section. My next section after that is my daily section. Now, this seems a little counterintuitive, but monthly I'm usually doing forward planning. Dailies I'm in constantly, and so I kind of want them a little more towards the center because they're easier to write in. And I'll show you kind of how I have this set up. And so I have it kind of reverse, like smallest to biggest after you get through the monthlies. So I have the daily section here. I have weekly section here. And then I have the annual and quarterly section. So I do that because I access this information all the way in the back less. And so it kind of gets how often I access the information. There's a method to the madness, I promise. All right, so on my daily pages, if you've watched videos before, you probably have seen these. So I have a day on 2 page. I have a spot for daily notes. So anything from a reminder of something that's happening that day, just in general, that doesn't have a specific time frame. It could be where I'm taking notes on voicemails I've received. It's all sorts of things if I just need to make myself a quick note. I have scheduled events here, and then I have a daily task list. As you can see, I have like a little mini calendar and stuff up there. If you get the larger sizes, there's actually a couple of blank spaces, blank extended lines down here at the bottom. I mean, I think that's pretty much self-explanatory. Probably the only thing here is I have 2 lines of check boxes. I have one box closest here for if I want to prioritize stuff, and then I have a box for checking things off. Same thing on this side. If you want to number your notes or whatever and then have a spot to check things off, you can do that. And then I've been using the weekly compass cards from Franklin Covey. I actually, as you can see, the pages are a little wider than the regular personal size. If you have a personal wide, you're probably fine. But I do like the compass cards. And so I bought a starter pack, which had this included with they have goal pages and a bunch of other stuff, dividers, but it had a whole bunch of the weekly compass cards in it. So that's pretty much how I use my daily pages. I'll run through and actually do forward planning for the for the month in here. So you can see I have appointments scheduled out, and then I try and do tasks a day or two before, unless it's something I know I need to get done on that day, and then I'll add it in during my weekly planning session. All right, so as far as the weekly pages go, again, this was modeled after the Momentum Planner, but I just pulled the stuff that I use. So I have a spot for monthly objectives and weekly objectives. I have a spot for major events. As you can see, this week was really, really busy. And then I have a spot for each day for me to break things down. So how I use this is probably slightly different than how you're supposed to, but he has a spot for 5 things to be done each day. Now, if I have an appointment or something that's an hour or 2 or longer, I'm actually going to put it on one of these lines because it takes up a chunk of time. Usually it's something that takes me about 2 hours, I'll write it down. So like I had to go to the attorney's office to sign documents on Monday. That's going to take up a chunk of time. So I wrote that down and I put a line through the number indicating that it's like something I'm doing, not necessarily something to do, if that makes sense. So that's how I have that laid out. So if it's something I have going on, I'll still write it in here as far as appointments go, but this just gives me a chance to figure out how much time do I actually have. Today I had 3 different meetings, and so by the time I'm done with that, I really only have time for like 2 things to be done. So, and I don't usually check these off. This stuff gets transferred to my daily pages. So if you're curious kind of how that works out. So this is kind of what a blank one looks like here. It's very, very plain and very simple. And then the next section, I have the annual and quarterly sections. So my annual review or annual overview, I have a spot for focus. So that could be, maybe where I'll put my word for the year or something like that. I have a spot for my annual goals, major events. Now I created these probably 2 weeks ago, maybe less. And so I haven't gone back and like back planned this in. I'm just trying to get it going forward. So that's why quarter 1 is blank. That's when the major events is blank. And I kind of filled in a little bit of stuff, but 3 and 4 is mainly where I'm concentrating. So I have the annual, and then I have the quarterly pages. So I transfer my annual goals forward. The quarterly objectives are also here as well. So these get transferred forward. I write down the major events for that quarter, and then I start planning the months. Now I did make myself a note to not pre-plan quarters, and honestly, that applies to the months as well. And yes, I've switched to a new pen, and it is a thinner nib, which actually works out better, but we shall see. Actually, you know what? Let me talk about this. So this is a Pilot Vanishing Point fountain pen. I do love fountain pens. They tend to dry out on me, and they get kind of messy when they leak. I like this because when you click it shut, it's actually sealed up inside, so it's not gonna leak all over everything. And also that means the ink doesn't dry out as quickly. So, and the color just goes really well with my planner. And I got a gift card for my birthday, and I was like, I'm going to get myself a nice fountain pen. So the only thing that may get a little sketchy is I've been using 20-pound paper, which is your normal like copy paper, to print my inserts on, just because it's thin and it doesn't take up as much room as if 28-pound paper or 32-pound paper, which I've used also in the past. So fountain pens tend to kind of feather and bleed, so we'll see kind of how this works. I may have to switch to a different type of paper for printing my inserts, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So this is what a blank quarter looks like. Annual goals, quarterly objectives, major events. I have the objectives for each month, and then I have here at the bottom top wins for the quarter and what to improve. So when I do a quarterly review, I'll start taking a look at that as well. I have a couple of blank compass cards in the back, some blank paper, just some stickers that I found when I was cleaning stuff out. These are cards that came from Cloth and Paper that I thought were kind of cool. One says Girl Boss, but girl is crossed out, and the other says Iconic. So I just have those held with an ollie clip because they're kind of too big to fit anywhere else. So I don't know if those are going to stay there or not. This I have been trying to figure out where I bought this from because I know people are going to ask. I think it came from Planner Press, which is where these stickers came from, but I am not entirely sure. But I thought this was pretty. It's obviously for a pocket size, it's for a traveler's notebook, but just tucking it in back here in the secretarial pocket, it actually works pretty well. It clears the pen loop and everything. I have a stencil in here, which actually I probably take out. I don't really use it. And then I have, this is from a Happy Planner, obviously, but I had made some notes about inserts that I need to be working on. So I just stuck that back in here. So I have a list of what I need to get done. So that is my planner in a nutshell. It does have a big back pocket. It's where I keep larger sized pieces of paper, like notes from meetings and things like that. So actually need to take 2 of those out because they don't need to live in there. They can go live someplace else. But that is my planner. Again, it's a Vanderspec Touch Me in the color of Parm or Parma. Actually, I think I'm going to leave these cards out because they're getting a little damaged and I don't want them to. So I'll put this back up here. So anyway, if you have any questions about how I do things, please leave them down below. Once I get everything finalized with those goal setting, momentum planner takeoff sheets, when I get those finished and solidified, I'll actually probably do a very specific video on how those are used and kind of what I do with them. I'm still in the experimental phase with them and I will list them as soon as they're ready to go and they're kind of finalized. But for right now, I may make changes to them. I have not entirely decided yet. So I hope that was helpful. If you enjoyed the video, I would definitely appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!